This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
It's like, I was like, what's that noise? Good morning, Tuscaloosa. What is that noise? It's me. It's the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. You're hanging out with us this morning. Hope your summer's going well. We're right at halfway through the month of June, so it's coming soon. Just hang on, baby. Football's coming soon. It's the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. We are hanging out live with you in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios right here off McFarland Boulevard. So come check us out today for all your insurance needs. We appreciate everybody who's found us on the BamaCentral Facebook page, on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6, or if you are my favorite listener on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Red Circle, wherever you're getting your podcast downloads. I appreciate you, Bubble. That's our newest spot, Bubble, BUBBL. If you are looking for a lot of podcasts on Bubble, and you can really use a search, Bubble search function, Theo, you can type in Alabama football, and it will tell you every single place where any podcast has talked about Alabama football on their network. It'll be like at the 33-minute mark, 33:30. Billy Sports Host was talking Alabama football. So really, really good, really cool platform to check out. Oh goodness gracious! I got to make sure I did not do it. Yep. Now they can hear me a little better. I was just talking into the MacBook. Now they can hear us. No, we want to get that corrected right off the bat. So, yeah, make sure you check out Bubble, Red Circle, Apple Podcast, all that fun stuff as we embark on the rest of the summer. This is the Joe Gaither Show. We're here with Theo Fernandez. You follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. We got a lot to get into today. I hope we got a lot to get into. Theo always brings the juice. We've got a Dax voicemail on some random topics. I think there's a little quarterback discussion. I think there's a little basketball discussion on his voicemail. We'll probably lead with that. I want to talk a little bit about recruiting. Let's see my notes. Alabama won 2 national championships over the weekend. You probably didn't pay attention to any of them, but we did. NCAA track and field, you had a male and female winner. Great stuff. We'll talk about that and much, much more. We invite you to join us on the voicemail machine at 205-462-7340, extension 800, or you can leave us a comment, question, query, or complaint at Joe Gaither 6 at Theo Fernandez _. So all that out of the way. Good morning, Theo. How we doing? How's your weekend, my man?
I'm doing great. Weekend was very good. Can't complain about anything. The Thunder are tied up, and yeah, summer is off to a great start.
Summer's off to a great start. Let's raise your level up just a hair there, because we'll get a better reading. Yeah, Theo, you want to start with just eating a little bit of crow? I mean, I gotta serve it to you a little bit. Last one day, it's 1-1, and you said, oh, by the time we're here next week, the series will be all but over. And I said, Theo, don't you think they're gonna go to Indianapolis and split? Like, come on, it's gonna be 2-2. And no, they don't have any adjustments left. Rick Carlisle has no more adjustments, no more moves. And then the the Pacers win game 3. Now your Thunder bounced right back and kept it even. So you are at 2-2. Nothing has really gotten out of control in the NBA Finals. But just give me a quick reaction to the last 2 games, because your boy watched all of 8 seconds.
Rick Carlisle is such a good coach, and we talked about it last week, but the guy's incredible. I mean, just what Indiana did in game 3 was unreal, and one of the best game plans I've seen any team have against this Thunder team all year. Like, they were just so dialed in, so just on top of everything. There was no adjustment that OKC was making. They were, like, Shea was fatigued. Shea was gassed. And, we almost lost game 4 because, for that same reason, because Indiana did all the same things, and thankfully for OKC, Shea was able to step up. I mean, he had the most clutch points of any player in any finals game ever in game 4.
Wow.
Like, it was just incredible. But he's the reason that this series is tied. If he doesn't step up there, we're really looking at Indiana having a 3-1 game, because that's how it should have went. I was watching that game with Hunter, as usual, and then Alex Chasen as well, a guy you might know. And then everyone's worried as that game 4 is unfolding because Indiana was in control. I mean, they were the better team for most of those 2 games played in Indianapolis.
So back to Oklahoma City tonight, 7:30. You guys are going to be checking it out. I'll be keeping an eye on it with Monday Night Raw also on. But it's going to be a fun time. I told you, it's going 7 games. We'll see you next Sunday. For this coming Sunday, right? We'll see you 1 week away. It'll be Monday, Thursday, and then Sunday. So we'll see you Sunday for Game 7, and then we'll be talking to you, Nick, on Monday, a week away, from celebrating or defeating or crying. Celebrations or crying on next Monday on the Joe Gaither Show with Theo Fernandez.
I'm anchoring at the station on Sunday, so part of me is kind of hoping, Game 7 get to anchor NBA Finals. Like, that would be just objectively so cool. We'll see how that lines up.
Absolutely. I hope. I mean, for your sake, you'll get to anchor a Thunder win. Now, it'll be a little. Will that be a little difficult for you to keep the straight newsman on the anchor?
Yeah, that'll be the biggest challenge. Like, I never have that problem with Alabama at all. With the Thunder, with the team that I have loved religiously since I was 5 years old. Watching my first, and also it being the first championship I've ever really seen since the Giants when I was 6 in first grade. Like, that'll be hard to contain. Also with the fact of, like, our show's at 10:20. So the game would have just ended minutes ago.
Yes.
So that'll be a real challenge, and that'll be a real test of, okay, how professional am I?
Well, there you go. That's exactly what college is for. The proving ground, the training ground. If you let it go a little bit, I don't think that's that bad. Really, I don't think it's bad at all. But Gary will probably want you to keep it nice and even, nice and 50% even keel. So that'll be a nice little tester for you as you continue your career. Make sure you check out Theo Fernandez at WVUA 23 every other weekend anchoring.
Also be on this Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah.
Anchoring again? You just filling in? Is it Gary taking a sick day?
Yeah, he's out for something, so I'll be on at 5 and 10, which I'm excited for.
There we go. Hopefully there's enough sports for you to talk about on Wednesday. How much time is your block? Like 8 minutes, 12?
No. So it's 5 minutes on weekends, and then it's about 3 minutes, 45 seconds during the weekdays.
Whew.
It's less time than you think, but it is still hard to fill it sometimes on these summer days.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to fill about an hour here today, and the only thing that happened over the weekend was 2 track victories, and a bunch of recruits took some cool pictures.
Doris Lemgol, though,
amazing. You run the 3,000 meter steeplechase in under 9 minutes. So people hear 3,000 meters, they can't equate that. That's just under 2 miles. 7 and a quarter lap. Yeah, 7 1/4 laps. Yeah. So you've all run a lap around the track. You 7 of those, add a quarter of a lap, and throw in 4 hurdles, one of them being an extra tall hurdle into a pit of water, which, it doesn't sound that crazy, but it's a little bit inherently dangerous. You drop down into the water. Are you twisting your ankle or not? And Doris Lemgol, she ends up going under 9 minutes. I think it was the first time a female under 9 minutes in that event, and just absolutely smoked the field.
Yeah, NCAA record, 14th woman in history to ever do that. So we're getting real close to Olympic territory here.
Oh, yeah, no, she's on that path. She's definitely on that path. She's just going to have to mature just a little bit and grow just a little bit. But if she just continues to do what she does, we will see her in an Olympic event very soon. We'll also...
I'm to step right in again. One of the first things I did on campus when I was writing for the Crimson White is I wrote a feature on her. And at the time, so she was 21 when she came here, but she had just gotten on campus. She's only been in America for about 2 months at this point, and I'm speaking to her, and, incredibly quiet, always has been, less so now that she's done a bunch of interviews, but it was cool being the, first person to ever interview her. And I'm speaking to her, I'm speaking to her teammates, speaking to coaches, and everyone's saying, like, oh, yeah, we're looking at something really special here. She had just been named SEC track, like, freshman of the week. I don't think anyone fully grasped, even me, just how special she was going to be. There is a very strong chance that she graduates in 2 years with the most national championships of any SEC athlete ever.
That's yeah. Did you see that? I have the tweet pulled up right here. 2024 outdoor steeplechase national champion. That was last year. 2024 cross country national champion. This year indoor 5,000 meter national champion, and what she just did over the weekend, defending steeplechase outdoor national championship. So she's got 4 under her belt.
And then you got to think, now that she's an upperclassman, I don't see anyone touching her at the steeplechase. That's kind of a foregone conclusion. And then you also look at, okay, she can probably win that cross country again and that 5,000 meter again. Like, it's just, the possibilities are kind of endless right now.
We got to keep talking about her because we got to be the thermostat, make people care. That's the trick. Congratulations, Dan Waters and his crew, Doris Lemon-Gallet winning a national championship, but also Samuel Ghazi. Oh my goodness, did you check out the 400 meters?
Yes, I did.
Man, I had just gotten home from dinner because I knew, okay, his race is at 8. We gotta schedule this dinner early so that we can get home for this. And I had just gotten home. And he's lining up, and he just absolutely smoked the entire field. 44.84 for his 400 meters. For those who are not aware, 1 lap around the track, 44.84, and only guy to go under 45. I think it was his 10th run under 45 seconds of the year. And that young man was just blazing. He got out very, very well, and then kind of had a great back 100 meters, the second 200 meters. And as he's clearing the 4th turn, he turns and looks, and I'm, in my feels a little bit. I was like, oh, don't look back. And I think he just looked back to just kind of see where he was. Could he have gone 44.5? Maybe. But he eased off it just a little bit as he cruised to a national champ. I mean, he eased off it and still won by, 3, 4, 5 body links. So he was really in control of that race and just impressive. So Alabama, 2 individual national champions over the weekend, and now officially doldrums. 75 days until any real activity. Doldrums for the Alabama Athletics Department, which is fine. That's, I'm sure, you got to settle out and have a calm period at some point. But now you are no wind on the water, just kind of waiting, and we will get to football season.
And it feels so weird to me. This feels so against everything that I'm used to. Being here at the University of Alabama. And I knew, okay, I'm staying here for the summer. I have to expect it. But wow, like, it is empty.
Oh man, Tuscaloosa is beautiful at this time of year. Without you jokers ruining the city, filling up the traffic, getting in all the restaurants. Oh man, you can get out and eat at any restaurant you want, have a good time. You can, no lines, no traffic around campus. I ended up going to Strange Brew on free ad on Saturday morning, going to Strange Brew on campus, and had breakfast, had coffee, and it was great. It was not crawling with meddling kids from all over the country, California, Texas, New York, all you jokers from Chicago and Miami and not the Southeast.
I'll tell you, the rec is empty. I never have to wait in line to use something. It's incredible.
Yeah,
that part's awesome.
You're repping you bench pressing like crazy now since all the meatheads are gone.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying.
How packed does the rec get? Does it get too stupid to even go and work out
during the school year?
Yeah,
I mean, just about. Like, so many people end up. I had a gym at my apartment this year at the Hub.
Smart,
but it is so hard during those peak hours. You almost have to go late at night or really early, and I'm gonna have to come up with a better plan for that during the school year.
Theo Fernandez, 4M. Will you not go? Is the apartment gym not good enough?
No, it's good enough to do some stuff at, kind of during the school year. I wasn't really taking it that seriously, so it always had what I needed.
You do some curls for girls.
Yeah.
Right, but we got to get
He
the
knows it
squats
better.
going. We got to get the squats to get the base, get the trunk
Mhm.
absolutely
Full body.
strong, get
Can't
the
skip
core.
anything.
Theo doing ab machine. You got a big old ab machine at the hub?
We do not. We don't have anything.
That's the problem. We just hook up an ab machine and the hub. You'll be doing great.
Trying to do some like full body stuff, more pull movement. I was at CrossFit Friday. Got a free like trial.
Gross.
Not a fan.
No.
Interesting.
No, because I think that they push it a little. Like okay, at my age, of course you need to be pushing it during your exercise, of course. But does Joe need to take it to 12? No, Joe needs to take it to a steady consistency at a 7, 8, 9 on the intensity. Right? Doesn't need to. I gotta be a 12. I mean, and look, the CrossFitters will probably push back on this, but my perception is just balls to the wall to the entire workout. And to me, that seems like a surefire recipe for me being injured.
Yeah, right. And that's my mom personally, she messed up her back doing CrossFit. So many people get hurt. And I love everything about like the way they do things.
Well, hey, you're still young. You got it, man. You listen to your body. That's what I will say. At my age, I'm not quite old, but I think a good solid exercise, a good solid workout that keeps me at a 7, 8 intensity for, an extended period of time, 90 minutes or so. I think that works just as well as, I'm going to go at a 12 intensity for 30 minutes, for 40 minutes. I think that's a little like you're asking for breakage. You're asking for aches and pains. They're not necessarily like you're always going to get aches and pains with workouts, duh. But like, my back is sore and my muscle's this. But I think they take it to a little bit, step or two too far.
We thank you all for tuning into the Joe Gaither Fitness Show on BamaCentral because that's what we're getting into right now.
I always have opinions on everything, Theo. So just whatever you want to throw out there, I'll give you my opinion. Why don't we turn our attention to the voicemail line? Because Dax said he's got a voicemail specifically for you, Theo. He said Theo's going to love this. And so I can see the transcripts, but I usually try not to. I usually try to be surprised and let it go. And so we have an organic reaction. You guys can call the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. We invite all your voicemails. We took a voicemail from my father over the week on Friday, so I appreciate that. I know we've had a couple of Dax voicemails. Robert from Brookwood has been calling as well. And so here is Dax on the voicemail line. Let's see what he has to say.
What is up, guys? It is Dax. So I want to start this one off with a little WNBA talk, just because, Caitlin Clark has finally made her glorious return to one of the worst pro sports imaginable. Caitlin Clark is the only reason that people watch the WNBA. Angel Reese. People don't watch the WNBA because of one person. They watch it because of Me Too. No, they freaking don't. You have more freaking rebounds than points in your career. You don't want men to sexualize you? Don't shake your booty with Cardi B all over Twitter, okay? Angel Reese, shut up and learn how to make a freaking layup, dude. God, I'm just seeing her a lot, and it's really pissing me off. Also, NBA Centel, keep doing you, buddy. You are the greatest Twitter page that I have ever seen in my life. Okay, well, that concludes my...
We'll pause right there. Each topic, because I think he's going to turn the topics. Go ahead, Theo.
First of all, Angel Reese just became the second youngest player to record a triple-double in WNBA history. With that being said, a lot of what was said, hard to argue with.
Roll my eyes, Theo, at your triple-double. Keep going.
Yeah. Like, the fact of the matter is, the WNBA has received a lot more coverage than it ever had recently. Right? Like we see how the coverage is ramping up
because of Caitlin Clark.
Yes, that is why this league is getting the coverage, and I think the WNBA is in such a weird spot right now because you have all these athletes who are talking about, we want to be covered like a real sport, and all the media is trying to cover it, and they're getting put on TV and they're selling out arenas. Like it is.
Are they?
No, like Indiana
Okay, that's
sells out.
Yes, one of.
The Vegas games, like that attendance is up a lot.
That's
compared
fair.
to where it has.
That's fairer. Keep going.
The league is the closest it's ever been to actually turning a profit. Keyword close. But then you look at some of the stories that come out.
Roll my
league.
eyes.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Like there's a lot of race stuff and there's a whole political side you can go out to. I'm not even going to touch that right now. I'm going to touch on one story.
Go for it.
The Seattle organization was under investigation for a coach using profanity towards a player. Are we serious?
Sabrina got her feelings hurt?
Yeah.
Ionescu got her feelings hurt?
Are we serious? You want to be covered like a professional league. You want us to care about the way that your league operates. And you're investigating a coach for cursing out a player.
I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't Sabrina who was cursed out. That was bad of me to say. But
Yeah.
she's the only star on that team that I know. Isn't she with the Seattle team? Sabrina Ionescu? Right. Okay, keep going.
She might be with New York. I might be mixing my play. Anyway.
Oh no, I think you're right. I think she played
Sabrina's
college out
New
there.
York.
I think she played college out there. Sabrina.
I think she played at UConn.
No, she was not at UConn. She was
I'm curious now.
Oh yeah, she was at Oregon.
She was. Oh yeah, she was the one from Oregon. Okay. Regardless.
Married to former Chicago Bear Ronas Garcia.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that until I just looked at it.
It's just, what do you want this league to be? What does the league want it to be? What do its players want it to be? Because they clearly don't want to be covered like a normal league. They don't want to be treated like the NBA. Could you imagine? I've seen at least 5 videos of Tyrese Halliburton destroying buildings, committing acts of terrorism.
That would not fly on WNBA social media.
Yeah. Could you imagine the reaction if we got that?
Because it's a little risque. I can admit that. The Haliban stuff is a smidge risque, a smidge into the gray area a bit. But you wouldn't have that. You definitely would not have that for the NBA. Yeah, you got Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins. Those are the 2 names on this Seattle Storm team that I do know. I don't know really any of these other names. I probably should. Gabby Williams has been there for 6 years. Zaya Cook's been there for 2 years from South Carolina. I probably should know her. Big fail for sports reporter Joe Gaither. Alicia Clark, MTSU, has been in the league for 12 years. So, yeah, which one of these ladies is upset? Is it Skylar Diggins getting upset that coach is cussing at her?
Like, it's just baffling. It really is. Caitlin Clark is doing some just special stuff out there on the court. And don't get me wrong, there are other players who are really talented. And the level of play has gone up a lot. Like, you guys remember, Sarah Ashley Barker scored 45 points in a double overtime game and made 3 do-or-die free throws to send the game to a second overtime. That's objectively impressive. I was watching that game, and I was enjoying every second of it. With that being said, you look up at this WNBA, and it's just not a good product. It is not fun to watch. And it is a lot worse when you look at these players' attitudes and the way that people... You can't even hate on Angel Reese as a basketball player without being called racist. It cannot be because she's just not that good at the game. If you don't like her, you don't like her for one reason. That's what they're calling you out for.
She drives me crazy. Because I do think she's a talented player to large degrees. I mean, you just talked about triple-double, right? I do think she's got a lot of talent, but she's much more of a defender and rebounder than she is a scorer. And, a lot of us are just box score watching. And so you see, 6 for 20, 6 for 25 from the field, where she's just making a bunch of and getting a bunch of her own rebounds, and people are you're stat padding, and they make it. What are they thinking? Are you Dennis Rodman? Are you Russell Westbrook? Are you actually that good? Or are you just specializing in rebounding like Rodman? Or are you just a stat padder, stat chaser like Westbrook a bit? I She drives me crazy. She drives me crazy because I think she's a fine player on her own, a fine enough player on her own. But the extra additives of, oh, you guys are, as Theo said, sexualizing me. Don't sexualize me. Well, you are, sort of inviting some of that. Okay, look, I don't. And maybe this is my own myopia, but I don't see any of Caitlin Clark going out there and flaunting herself in big plays. I see whenever I see Caitlin Clark, I see her on the sidelines in a t-shirt at some of these games and a hat, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's Caitlin Clark." I see her highlights, right? I see her basketball highlights all over the social medias. Yeah, it's just such a weird dynamic because I don't really care about what the girls are doing in the magazines and that sort of thing. But with Angel Reese, she's all over TikTok. She's all over social media. And I don't know. I don't want to say shut up and dribble because that's stupid and that's not right. That's not right of me. But I do think that there's a little bit of there's a fine balance. There's a fine balance of how much you're going out there stirring these things up and how much you're just focused on basketball.
So here's my comparison for Angel Reese. Because, first of all, I think you have to recognize that she had an incredible run in college.
Oh, for sure.
Incredible.
Is she Darko Milicic?
No.
I'm going to
go out
and that's a bad one.
I'm going to say she's Christian Laettner.
Okay.
I'm going to say she goes out. She was great in college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Laettner comes out, and he's averaging good 18 points for his first 5-6 seasons in the league. He had some injuries, I think, come in later. But Laettner was playing high-level basketball while still being the villain.
That's a good comparison. I like this. Keep going.
You've seen that I Hate Christian Laettner.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. One of the best things ESPN's ever made. But I digress. I don't know if Laettner was this hated still as he transitioned into the league. I don't quite know that. But as far as a performance standpoint, like you look at Angel Reese, it's like, okay, she's averaging a double-double. That's something.
That's good.
Right? But when she's getting talked about like this, she's getting hyped up because of her college achievements, as a guy like Christian Laettner was, everyone's going to give him attention because he's a household name as he's a young NBA player. Like, that's kind of the road I'd go on as far as a comparison. A guy like that, maybe even a Chris Webber, where
I like that too.
That one works more so because of the position too, where Chris Webber was a good NBA player. He was never a true stud.
I like that one too. I like both of those comparisons. Both of those smarter than any name that I just threw out.
And I also do think that all of this is really good for the league at the end of the day.
Sure, any press is good press.
Yeah, any press is good press because I like the WNBA from a drama standpoint, if you don't watch the games, but if you just follow along, which is what 75% of NBA fans do anyway, like there's some intrigue.
Sure.
A lot of it comes from all these narratives that are created, like Angel Reese is great as a villain for the league.
You think the WNBA went to the two of them and been like, look, we've got to get our Larry Bird, Magic Johnson kind of rivalry sparked right here. And we're just going to do everything we can, whether it's seemly or not, whether it's about basketball or not, to feed into some rivalry narratives to, stir up emotions.
I wonder,
manipulation.
Yeah, are we going the WWE route on the side? We're like, okay, let's create some storylines heading into these games. It wouldn't be out of the picture. We already talked about the NBA being rigged, right? Who owns the WNBA?
Yeah, the NBA.
Yeah. So I think that, first of all, I would love for the WNBA to succeed.
Why?
Because I'm someone trying to go and have a career in media.
Oh, and more leagues to cover.
How many more jobs open up if the WNBA is covered as a viable league? If there are real jobs covering all.
You're doing real work if you're covering the NBA, Theo. We're not doing any real work covering Alabama football. That's the cake lane right there.
Yeah, I would. I will always,
You're putting your hard hat on if you're covering the WNBA.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh.
I would love to see there be a professional softball league that breaks out, or this, like, it's for a selfish reason. I want to be able to have more job options, but at the end of the day, like, I have nothing against any of these leagues. I just want to see them. I want to see them take some kind of direction. Like, how are we covering these leagues? What do they want themselves to be? How should we view them? And would you have ever gotten a 15-minute segment out of the WNBA before these last 2 years, Joe?
Oh, no. And I don't really even feel like we've done a quality 10 minutes right now. I feel like we've just done a bunch of fluff, to be honest with you.
I agree. It does feel like a bunch of fluff. And part of that is because we don't know what this league is. We don't know.
This league is just summertime filler.
Mhm.
Sorry. I hate to say that, but you're going to go you're going to get washed through the shuffle of all these other. I mean, it's NFL King, a huge gap, and everybody else is fighting for it says second place, but really third and fourth place, but in all of our hearts, because it's the NFL, it's the NFL, and then I'm an MLB fan, I'm an NBA fan, I'm an NHL fan. Oh, I'm a WNBA fan. I'm a MLS fan. All those, and yes, you've got MLB, NBA, and NHL that are really second, third, fourth, probably. NBA second, probably. Then hockey and Major League Baseball can fight it out for third. But it's just NFL. It's just the NFL. So really, all it is filler for until we get NFL preseason.
And the thing that people miss about, like, oh, why are WNBA games always on TV? The league's subsidized by the NBA, right? The NBA is the one paying, saying, yeah, we think we're going to eventually turn a profit by doing this. Whether or not they will, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. ESPN, by showing those games, they're getting more viewership on those games than whatever, show they're going to show. And that's the same thing. Like, that's the same reason why the UFL, like, no one goes to those games. You see the empty stands, but there's nothing Fox can show that's going to get more viewers. So from the network's perspective, like, this is awesome. Like, from ESPN's standpoint, yeah, if we can put 10 minutes out of a 1 hour show and talk about the WNBA and get a couple people to tune in, we're going to make a profit off this broadcast.
Speaking of ESPN, and we can turn this real quick and then get back to Dax's voicemail. Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire. That's the problem. Stephen A. Smith, you're playing solitaire during the middle of an NBA Finals game.
Yeah.
So Friday on a show, Mason and I ranted against the NBA media and about the ex-players not knowing really exactly how to sell a series and exactly really what the media's responsibility is. Stephen A. Smith makes my stomach turn because my friends who don't really pay that close attention still think he's a journalist. They still think, well, Stephen A. Smith said XYZ. Well, Stephen A. Smith said ABC. And it's like, no, he is just a carnival barker. He's not a journalist. He has no... Stephen A. Smith drives me absolutely insane. And you're going to sit there in a nice seat during the NBA Finals, and he's like, oh, it was during a timeout. Oh, doesn't matter. Even if it was during a timeout. Like, Theo, how many timeouts have happened at any event that you're ever working and you're just typing away? Type. Well, let me look at this. Let me look at that. Let me look at what this is going on. How many times have you ever gone and played your computer game? And yes, he's playing Old Man Boomer Solitaire, but you're not playing Clash of Clans in the middle of timeouts. Like, doesn't matter what the game is. Like, get off your dang phone game and do your job. There is a job to be had. You are clocked in. Be clocked in right there. Oh my! That is the epitome of the issue. You don't want to talk about why is nobody watching the finals, because your lead carnival barker entertainer doesn't even care to be paying attention to it.
And it's honestly like, Me and my father were talking about this yesterday. We had this exact conversation. He brought up a very good point in my eyes. Did you listen to early Pat McAfee?
Not really.
So we kind of did. Like, we started a little before COVID. While, it wasn't the beginning days, but it was still a much, much, much smaller product than it is right now. And you can say the same thing about Stephen A. in 2014, where these guys come in, they have some great takes, they give it in unique ways, they do it in captivating ways. Stephen A. was awesome. He really was in the beginning. Because I loved Stephen A. before we reached this point, because he always had some of the ridiculousness, some of the outlandishness, but he always did it in a way that felt genuine. And he always gave his takes in a way that made you stop and just listen. Now it's just filler. Now it's just he talks and he'll say one thing one day and then he could have the opposite take 2 days later. Because he's basically at the point where he'll just say whatever ESPN's going to pay him to say. And, Steve and the McAfee show is, I think, headed down that road, because the whole point is you become big, you reach that level, that Stephen A., that McAfee level, by giving unique content, giving fresh take, being a breath of fresh air, and it's diehard fans that prop you up. But once you reach a certain point, all of that starts to matter much less. Stephen A. exists for the casual fan.
Ugh.
McAfee is starting to exist for the casual fan.
Ugh.
And I guarantee you that if this show reached that level,
no, that's why we're not reaching that level, because
Yeah.
I'm just being honest with you. Like, I refuse to get into any of that nonsense. I refuse to. I'm just going to show up and be me each day. And that's probably that could be why we haven't taken that next step, because I'm not going to sit here and go, Alabama football, let's break it down game by game by game. Well, the Crimson Tide's going to win 44-0, 44-0. I'm just give you the, So, Theo, you weren't really with me during spring football. But when spring football was happening, I was doing why should we talk about this? We're not at practice. We can't see anything. I'm not. And then the few times that we did go to practice, thank you for letting go to practice, Coach DeBoer and the athletics department. We appreciate that. But the few times that we did go to practice, it's 10 to 20 minutes of warm-ups and basic drills, basically individual drills, position drills. And that's fun and great and very, makes us feel a little more connected. But you got my colleagues going out there and go, let's pick a player. Steve Bolo Mbumwa, he looks so big. He's going to be incredible this year. Just the way he was hitting those pads. I've never seen a guy hit the pads that way ever in my life. I just can't wait to see him hit the pads. And when they're not pads, they're offensive linemen. I think he's going to dominate.
You have no clue.
Yes, well, you saw him go through the little, of course, you see him go through the line, shooting your hands on the pads, on the blocking dummy, 4 times. 4 times, and he's going through with the rest of the jokers. And look, do I think he was impressive during the couple times we saw him? Yes, I do. I will say it's a big guy. Coach Freddie Roach was getting after him, and he could, he's in the mix of the depth chart. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, he could be the next Quinnen Williams. He can be, if he just digs in. I hate that stuff. I literally despise it. I just saw Jeremy Bernard's release. His release, nobody's standing in front of him. No one is standing in front of him. Of course, all these wide receivers get-offs are going to look good. They're college athletes. We saw, Isaiah Horton at Jalen Milroe's Pro Day. And, of course, Jalen Milroe's Pro Day is scripted, and Jalen Milroe's Pro Day is zop, 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 good pass, good pass, good pass. You can watch the entire passing workout on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. I sat there and filmed the whole dang thing for you. And people are, well, Isaiah Horton, the way he's getting in and out, the way he's no pads, no defense, no pads and no defense. And I would hope that any wide receiver on scholarship
is making those catches
with no pads and no defense on air. Like, let's use our brains. And so that's the reason why this show hasn't taken off, because I'm not sitting here saying, well, Isaiah Horton got in and out of his breaks so impressively. I've never seen a big-bodied wide receiver get in and out of his breaks so fast and be able to catch the ball with his hands, high point the ball so well. And it's like, yeah, he did, but I don't give a rip about that until there's pads and a defense out there.
Mm-hmm. Even okay, I'm sitting with you guys up in that press box at 8A.
And I was trashing everything.
And I'm just thinking in my head as I'm marking down every single Ty Simpson pass and whether or not it was complete or incomplete. Part of me is just thinking, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that someone's going to try to read the article that we put out and try to assume stuff about the team. Because I agree. There was nothing.
So same concept, but just a little different. Yesterday, Arch Manning had himself on the social medias doing the hook 'em horns at Ryan Wingo's little camp, and people were taking it one way or the other. Oh, look, he's just basically they're doing he's invited to the cookout track, right? And okay, and so I put it into my little group chat, and I was like, okay, Heisman season loading. And I'm teasing. And somebody goes, well, he sucks. And my perception was this person was serious. And I said, and before I responded, I made sure I went to and looked it up, and I was like, the dude threw 90 passes last year. I said, I don't think we have enough evidence to say if he sucks or if he's even good. I'm teasing about Heisman Trophy. It's just you want these takes. I'm not going to give you dramatic takes unless I actually think it, unless I actually believe it. I'm not, and so that's the reason you talk about Stephen A. That's the reason we haven't taken off like a rocket ship.
Yeah, no, because we'd be having a full breakdown on one of us.
Yes, I think Jackson Lloyd is going to be a great tackle. I do. I think Jackson Lloyd's going to be a very quality offensive lineman. But I'm not going to get the 5 minutes that we stand out there and watch Jackson Lloyd, walk through blocks on the other offensive linemen as Kapilovic is yelling and hollering. Of course he's getting coached hard, but they're walking through. They're just doing walkthrough stuff. I'm not going to go dramatic. Well, he's going to be the greatest offensive tackle Alabama's ever had. No, I think, well, he looks big. He looks athletic. He looks not like a freshman physically. We'll see what he can do. Let's get back to this Dax voicemail, because I think we've gone way off the rails.
I'm a WNBA. Love Caitlin Clark. Hate Angel Reed. That's done. Now we're going to talk about the quarterbacks. People did this. We've been talking about the quarterbacks a little bit here and there for a long time now. But I'm pretty Ty is very solidly the starter against Florida State this year. I really think I believe our offensive line is actually going to live up to the hype this year, because we've got some returners. I guess good offensive line with fantastic receiving core. Running backs are a little more solid than they were last year. I think Ty, and we also have Ryan Grubb as OC now. I think Ty has got the weapons. He's got the tools to get us into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs. Ty Simpson is going to be a great quarterback this year because of the weapons around him and the coaching. The staff is great. Then we've got number 2 quarterback. Dang it, bro. I don't know, because I know the fan base wants Keelan Russell, but I don't want to forget about Austin Mack, because Austin Mack is also a really good quarterback. But I think that Keelan Russell will be number 2 this year, specifically because of the fact that he's probably going to be the number 1 next year. We need Keelan Russell snaps. I want to see Keelan Russell snaps. The boy he's got some freaking stiff on the ball, and it looks like he's not putting any effort into it. And Austin Mack, I don't know. I haven't seen him that much. All I saw was a touchdown pass to Rico Scott last year. That was it. I guess I need to go back and watch some high school tapes because that's all we got on Austin Mack. But the fan base wants Keelan Russell. I think the coaches want Keelan Russell too. But this is Ty's year. I think we should focus on Ty. Ty's going to play himself into the late first round, early second round. I'm guessing that. All right, boys, that concludes my ranty voicemail. I hope y'all had a great weekend, and let's have a good week coming up. Roll Tide.
There we go. That's Dax on the voicemail machine. We appreciate him calling us at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Theo, you want to get into quarterbacks a little?
Yeah, I would love to. And I want to start this out by saying a couple months back, we had this conversation probably right after A-Day, and I said that I did not think Ty Simpson would be able to hold down the starting job all year. And I think that the more time passes, the more kind of think, you know what? Yeah, I think he will. Because he fully looks like QB1, and I fully agree with Dak's take that, he should be a very, very good QB with everything he has around him. And I really see no reason why he can't keep the job all year. So I wanted to start out by kind of correcting, I think, a take that was misguided a few months ago.
I think you're spot on. Keep going if you want to.
The QB2 race is kind of interesting. There's a lot there. First of all, what are we going to get out of Keelan Russell this year? I don't know. I just, coming out of high school, come and be QB2 in this position over a guy who's so familiar with the coach. And also, do we really need to see Keelan Russell snaps? Is that something we really need this year? I don't know if that's as important as Dax you're making it out to be there.
I don't know if you need snaps, but you need to make him feel like he's not doing nothing. And whether that is important, prominent position in practice, whether he's running the scout team all himself, or whether that's Alabama's up by 50 and we are throwing Austin Mack in a series and then Keelan Russell in a series. I think that really for Russell, you're wanting to get him in the 4-game minimum, so that he can get experience and play, but also you don't burn a red shirt. I think that is the line there for Keelan Russell. Now, if Ty Simpson struggles, which that would surprise me. No, it might be my crimson-colored glasses, but it would surprise me if Ty just came out there in Tallahassee and just got over and looked overwhelmed. I think that he's gonna do well enough to keep his head above water and to keep the offense moving. And so it might take him a couple of weeks. You might have 3 weeks of I don't know with the offense, but I think Ty's going to play well enough and improve throughout the season.
That beats a whole year of asking that question.
Right, it does. I think that Ty Simpson is going to play well enough to keep the job, like you said, well enough to hold off the other two. I do, but I think that what you see in that first week against Tallahassee, and then what you see that last week against Auburn, are gonna be probably two different quarterbacks. I think the Ty's got a baseline to get him started, to get the year started, and I think that he will improve throughout the year. With Keelan, you're gonna want to get him in there because I think you want to make sure he feels like he's involved, and I think you want to make sure that he feels like next year he's got every opportunity to win the starting job. Is he and Austin Mack? Now, Austin Mack, I think I was talking to people over the weekend that I wish for these Eastern Illinois, for these ULMs. I wish that you just have a rule to where the starters don't play, where they can't play, where it's, hey, guys, the twos are up. Y'all need to carry the mantle this week. They won't do that. They won't ever do that.
Yeah, because how would guys boost their Heisman stats then?
Exactly. I own that, and just I just wish I think you could get more out of those games if you
agree.
If you force your backup talent to step up in a big moment, right? But they won't do that. I want to see Austin Mack play. I think the biggest issue with Alabama, like quarterback wise, and I think we've talked about it before. I don't know if you and I have, but I know we've talked about it on the show, at least with Mason 2 or 3 different times. You want, if you're the Alabama coaching staff, You want Ty Simpson to have a really good year.
Oh, yeah.
A really good, not only for the wins and losses, of course, the wins and losses, so that you are in the playoff and you get a little bit more security from the average Alabama fan. I think they've got plenty of security, but the average Alabama fan is looking for playoff or bust. I think you want to see Ty Simpson play well enough to where Mel Kiper Jr. is saying his name, and all these draft bugs are saying his name. So Ty Simpson ends the year, whether he's hoisting a national championship trophy or not, and says, I'm going to the NFL. I'm a first-round draft pick. Because what you don't want to have happen, Theo, this would be a dramatic situation. It would be good for us. It would be good for you and I. But what you don't want to have happen, if you're an Alabama fan, is Ty Simpson to play just above average.
Mm-hmm.
Just, we're doing okay. Okay, we're scoring 24 points. Ty's hitting at 60% completion, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. The offense is good, not great. The offense is okay, not great. And Ty says, "Well, I need another year. I got to return for another year of college football." Because you throw a big old wrench into this quarterback room if Ty Simpson returns, and you're saying, "Well, do we have a 3-way quarterback battle between Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, and Ty Simpson again? Do we reopen it up, or is it Ty's job since he just led Alabama to whatever 10-2, and the offense was good enough, but the defense really carried everything, and he wants to come back and improve his draft stock? What do you do at the quarterback position when Ty Simpson is just average enough, just good enough to be good, but not good enough to go to the league?"
Right, and then it's kind of like we're in a Texas situation with Ewers and Arch Manning.
Hook 'em.
Yeah, no, that's the exact situation that Alabama would be in because, I think I'm a very big Arch Manning fan personally, as far as I think he is going to be an absolute stud. And I think that I think Sark probably recognized the team probably be better with Arch Manning. But I think it was a thing where, no, you can't give up on the guy who came back, who, has the locker room. And that's obviously a long way away. First of all,
certainly,
it's a lot to we don't even know, first of all, if Ty Simpson can play at the level that Quinn Ewers did, because Quinn Ewers was a good quarterback. We don't know we don't know what Keelan Russell is. We see 5 stars underwhelm all the time. We also
that arm at 8A though.
Yeah. And that's one other thing. You got to look back to that last spring press conference. The race is not over. Look, a couple months to continue to work. It's not unforeseeable that Keelan Russell could blow everyone away in the summer.
3%.
Or that Ty Simpson.
3% chance.
I deal a little high. I deal like 15.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's very likely, but I think you have to recognize the fact that, okay, wait a minute, this 5-star could really play to the level that people think he can. I don't think we're going to see a true freshman starting. I don't. But you're kind of right on the above average thing. That's not great.
That's a bad situation for Bama.
That whole debate would be happening all year too.
Yes.
Yeah. Like we go out and we lose to Georgia and we didn't lose because of Ty Simpson, but he didn't do anything that helped win us the game. That's where it gets into what could this guy do? And any team that's any NFL fan that's seen their team draft a QB in the first round knows exactly where I'm going with this, because at a certain point, you're just willing to risk everything to see what this young guy can do. And that's a scary line of thinking.
I think he's going to play well enough to avoid all that.
I do too.
Do I think he's going to play well enough to be a second round pick? I don't know. I think he's going to play well enough to avoid the we need to start looking at other options conversation. But I don't know if he's going to play well enough. He did so well, he's got to go to the draft because he'd be silly not to.
And so again, part of that is you have a lot of guys in this draft class.
Arch.
Yeah, you have Arch, you have Sellers. I mean,
Lenore
Sellers
Sellers.
is viewed as a very
Who's the kid from Penn State? Joe Aller.
Drew Aller. Yeah.
Drew Aller. Everybody's
people are
Joe.
talking about him as a top 3 pick. I mean, people are really, really high on Drew Aller. And it's just,
Cade Klubnik is he's draft eligible, isn't he?
He is. People are also talking about Sam Levitt.
Yep. Arizona State.
Everyone seems to believe that John Mateer is going to just light things up, which it's hard to argue with. You know,
it's going to be a weird year with that many quarterbacks.
Nussmeier too.
Nussmeier should have gone to the draft this past year.
Yeah, you'd think
he should have taken that jump this past year because he's going to get lost in the shuffle of all those guys.
Someone going to take a flyer on Diego Pavia? I don't know.
No,
on this guy. That'd be funny though.
But they can't all be first round picks.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like,
they're not going to draft all of them in the first round. Not ever.
Well, first of all, people are talking about this like it might be a six QBs taken.
Well, my Bears aren't desperate for a quarterback.
People even
Giants aren't dead. All the bad teams got their young quarterbacks already.
I mean,
the Steelers need a quarterback.
The Steelers.
Who's at the place where they need, think about how many. You're not going to have anybody really in the NFC North. We're all locked up with young quarterbacks for the future. You're not looking at anybody. I mean, the Cowboys, maybe. You might be looking to push Dak out, but I doubt
Dallas is the only team.
Dallas, all right. I'm up to Dallas. I'm up to Pittsburgh. But I just do this division by division. I want to get to the AFC in a second. NFC East, we're up Dallas. NFC North, no one. NFC South, you've got
Tampa,
Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Saints. Okay, Saints. So I'm at 2. I'm not giving you I'm not giving you Bucks because we still got Baker Mayfield.
We still got Baker.
I'm giving you Saints. I'm giving you Dallas, and then go west, young man. You've got NFC West. Rams. Yes, I'll give you Rams.
I think the Cardinals could be ready to move on
from Kyler.
I think that's possible.
Yeah. Now, you could debate that. I'll give you that debate.
So we've got 4 in the NFC.
Seattle? Do you believe in Milrow? It depends on what they want to do right there.
Yeah, I think they're probably a year away at least.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. And who's the 4th team in the NFC West? 49ers. No. All right, so I'm at 4 in the NFC. Yeah. And then AFC, we already said Steelers, AFC North. Brownies, yes, sure. But Brownies drafted 2 quarterbacks last year.
In the 5th round. They're very much in the mix.
Okay, Steelers, yes. Brownies, maybe.
Where we going now? East?
Nobody for the Ravens, and the 4th team in the Bengals, no. Right. NFC, that's AFC North. How about AFC East? Is Bills, Titans are good. No. Oh no, that's the South. Okay, yeah. Bills, no. Patriots, no. Miami, no. And Jets, yes, probably.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm at 2. And then AFC South. Titans, no. Jaguars, no. Colts, yes. Yeah. Colts, yes. And Texans, no. CJ Stroud.
Is the Jaguars a definite? I mean, they don't have their first rounder, I guess. So that is a no then.
And we still
believe in Trevor enough.
At least I do. You can say no. And then AFC West,
Raiders.
The Raiders. The autumn wind is a Raider.
Yeah, the Raiders.
So you have 8 teams.
That's a quarter of the league, right?
Are they going to all fight each other over Arch Manning?
I don't know, but I mean,
But they're not all drafting a quarterback in the first round,
right? And that's why there's got to be guys taken in that 3rd round, in that 2nd round, but there are a lot of names. Like Fernando Mendoza is a guy who's getting hyped up.
Just because he's your brother doesn't mean he's getting hyped up.
No, he really is. People have talked about him like a day 2 pick. I don't know, and it's funny because
Indiana.
Ty Simpson isn't a guy on anyone's radar right now.
That's true. And that's going. So what do you do if you're the Alabama coaching staff? Do you just Keelan and Austin Mack just hang on? You're going to sit on the bench another year? Do you push Ty Simpson to the transfer portal? Or really what you do is you just coach his butt off and you get him into that conversation.
And I'll tell you what you certainly don't do is you don't make your decisions out of fear of losing a player to the portal.
I agree with that.
You don't.
I agree with that.
And that's one of the things.
Keep recruiting. Just keep recruiting.
Talent will come and go. It seemed like the end of the world when Sayin entered that portal.
To who?
I think to a lot of guys.
Not to me. I'll push back on that.
A lot of people looked at that and said, like, where's the future at QB? And then this 4-star Keelan Russell commits, and
he gets his 5th star.
Good, and then he gets, and then he dominates that camp in LA, and all of a sudden, none of those worries are back.
I'm going to push back. When Julian said, it made me sad from a personal note because he joined the show, and I thought, oh, this will be good for us. But no, I mean, at that age, at that spot, if you're transferring out before you're even enrolled, okay, all right.
I heard a lot of crazy takes when Sayin entered the portal.
Oh, well, it coincided with Nick Saban's retirement.
Yeah, right.
Coincided with, what's Alabama going to do? The sky is falling. It's fine. Just let the new coach come in here and get himself, get his feet under him a second, and he's going to recruit a quarterback. I think that is the real kind of conversation. Like everybody, the zero-sum conversation is wins and losses. Does Alabama get to the playoff? But I think the under-the-hood conversation is how well is Ty Simpson playing? Is he playing well enough to get himself into the conversation with these guys we just mentioned, these first and second rounders that we just mentioned? And if he is he bold enough to, I'm going to go into this draft class that's loaded? Or does he go look at the 27 quarterback draft class just for out of curiosity as I feel.
First guy that I think of there.
Maybe for sure.
Lagway looks like insane.
I am a big fan of his as well, for sure. But my just off the gut feeling is there's not as many 27 quarterbacks that as there were in 26.
You see, this is interesting. So
that's a gut feeling. So maybe I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, Theo.
Well, no. So they've got Raiola up there. They've got Arch at 1, which I don't think Arch will be in the 27 class at all.
I think there's a small chance that he is.
I just don't see it. I have a lot of confidence that
I think it's really going to depend on who has top end picks.
They've got Eli Holstein at 3.
Oh,
interesting. They've got Avery Johnson up there. They've got Jackson Arnold. This really isn't that impressive. But you know who's at number 4? Ty. And that's pretty telling to me,
Mm-hmm. So does Ty say, I'm going to come back to Alabama, sell my camo NIL stuff, have another year, and then you got real complications from Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, Ryan Grubb, that crew. Mm-hmm. They're wondering, okay, or do we? I mean, you don't push a starter aside who's led you to a playoff position, because I think that, look, I'm sorry, but I just think that Alabama is going to go back to the playoffs this year. I would be a little surprised if they don't and play this back for me in December when they're left out, but. I think that Alabama is going to be in the playoff this year, largely because of the defense. I think the schedule is pretty brutal, but because the defense gives you that baseline, and I think the offensive skill positions are so nasty that you're able to game plan and scheme some things and make it happen.
Got an interesting take with someone saying that this was from On SI High School, saying that Jeremiah Smith, Arch Manning, Dylan Stewart, Hollywood could create the best NFL draft class of all time.
Oh, well, that's just hyperbole. That's just hyperbole.
That's pure hyperbole. I shouldn't have given this the time of day.
That's okay.
I read into it.
Okay. But I think that's just pure hyperbole of like, wow. You are going to have the people falling over themselves to draft Jeremiah Smith.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And Ryan.
They've got Ryan top 5 in every mock that I'm looking at.
Yeah, Ryan 3, Ty Simpson 4. Let's go.
Yeah, we've got Jalen Mbakwe at 27 on this one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my reaction.
Wow. So I think the quarterback discussion is very interesting because I do think that I think it's all but locked up. I think it's all but done. I said 3% chance.
I think there's slightly more of a chance than you're accounting for. But yeah, I agree. I kind of agree.
But I think that in the fact that it's locked up, you're still wanting to push Ty Simpson to maximize his potential and go on into the NFL draft because of what's behind him. Because you really want it to just be a two-man race next year in the spring. Russell and Mack. You don't want – I think if Simpson returns in 27, then you're looking at one of those two jokers. I'm not putting naming names who, but one of those two jokers I would say is likely to go to the portal.
Yeah.
And then you create more depth issues, more future question issues. And I'm sure that when we get up with Mason tomorrow, we'll find out who Alabama's recruiting in the 2026 quarterback recruiting class, because we did have a pretty big weekend over the weekend, and he kept up with it for BamaCentral. But you put a lot of pressure to find another quarterback. I think the Alabama fan base really, really settled out when Keelan Russell committed, and then when Keelan Russell dominated Elite 11. They're like, okay, we do trust this staff. If you lose one of these guys, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell in 27, I mean, does the fans' opinion really matter? No, but there will be some, what is there? Retention. What are we going to do? And so you're going to put some pressure on finding a new incoming freshman in the 26 quarterback class.
And it's so weird because under almost any circumstance, if a QB goes out and plays solid football and maybe even leads you to a college football playoff and he decides to return,
you should be excited.
Yeah, right. It goes against everything that we know as sports fans to not be happy in that situation. But it's hard to argue with this.
Do you think the fan base would be happier about Simpson's return, or would lean into more fear and concern about losing Mack or Russell?
No, I fully agree. Like,
no, basketball.
I agree. It would turn into fear, and it's hard to argue with them because you look at it and we all are excited for Keelan Russell. We all are very, very excited for that era to begin. And, we all kind of have the perception, warranted or unwarranted, that Keelan Russell has a higher ceiling than Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Ty, but I agree.
Right, and it makes sense to agree with that. But we know so little still. We're going off recruiting rankings. We're going off a few clips we've seen of the guys throwing the football.
I'm going off the arm I saw today. Oh,
it's a great arm.
Whip. You made that. Slinging that thing.
I just think overall, we need to be appreciative. And this goes out to the whole fan base. Need to be appreciative of the final QB to ever be coached by Nick Saban.
Dang, I was trying to be funny looking for a different name than Ty Simpson, but I can't find one.
There is none. This is it. It's the last college QB.
Tyler Buckner.
He's the last college lacrosse player to be coached by Nick Saban.
That's right. Wow. All right, Theo. So we had a pretty decent day. Let me look at my notes here. We'll say Brandon Arrington discussion for tomorrow with Mason.
Yeah,
we're right
more in the loop.
We're right at 109 on our time slot. I'll leave you the last word, man, like we do each and every Monday since you're going to be gone for a week. Any bold takes, any apologies you want to make, or any salesmanship you want to do for your Thunder and finals, or really just what you're getting into this week. What are you thinking about, Theo? Where are you going today for lunch? Really, whatever's on your mind. I'll leave you the last 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, I guess shout out to the Indiana Pacers again. It's been a fun series. I want you to just, if you're one of those people like Joe who just hasn't gotten really into this whole thing, this whole series, you don't know a lot about the players, you don't know about these markets, just do yourself a favor and watch it. These games have been so good. It is some of the best basketball I've watched. Like, it's just objectively just a great brand of basketball. And I've had a great time watching it. And there have even been times where Thunder lose and want to be upset, but I'm like, damn, it's hard to be mad because this is a great series. It's about as entertaining as it gets, and now it's best of 3. And then you don't have to watch basketball again for about a half year, or for most people, until March Madness. Also, NHL's been fun. We don't talk hockey, but Game 4 and Game 2 were both, I thought, some of the best NHL Stanley Cup games I've seen. They're both 5-4 overtime games, and now Edmonton, Connor McDavid is probably going to go another year without a ring, but there's honestly some really, really good pro sports wrapping up right now.
Absolutely. If you're experiencing the doldrums and you're looking for something to watch,
Which we know you are.
Exactly.
You don't try to deny it.
Exactly. You can be scrolling the message boards for recruiting updates all you want, but I know you're fiending for action. Monday night tonight is going to be game number 5, 7:30 on the ESPN family of networks, and then we will keep up with it the rest of the week. We'll be poking and badgering Theo on the social media machines at Theo Fernandez _. You can find us at Joe Gaither 6 at BamaCentral on the social media machines. Leave us a voicemail at 205-462-7340 extension 800. We love your takes on the Alabama quarterback situation. Obviously, I think Theo, we're in agreement about what's going to happen this year with the quarterback, but I think the deeper story is how well Ty actually plays. Can he get himself into that upper echelon of quarterbacks this year and put himself into an NFL draft position? So we'll talk about some more with Mason. We'll hit all the recruiting updates tomorrow with Mason. I think every 5-star and their mother was in town this past weekend. So Mason's going to be telling us about Brandon Arrington, about all the other recruits that were in town this weekend. Tomorrow on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.